This is your HomePlate podcast. Baseball from north to south.
Spring training.
Benvenuti, baseball friends. Here we are, our sixth digital at bat at HomePlate 33. I'm your host, DJ Guarenas, with my co host, Alex Erickson. And before I actually let Eric give his introduction, unfortunately, we have to start this episode with very somber news for the episode that actually happened at in Vancouver, unfortunately for the Filipino Canadian community. Unfortunately, this very, very sad incident where definitely our hearts go out to the Filipino community and everybody involved in this unfortunate incident in Vancouver. And obviously at Home Play 33, and we're always there for those kind of things. And we had to start there out of respect for everything that happened to our fellow Canadians and the community. Alex, how are you doing?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Not too bad, and I'm still a bit in shock of what happened yesterday, but at the same
No
time, it's
kidding.
one of those things that in this crazy world, unfortunately, sad things don't shock us anymore. But we have to kind of keep plowing and use baseball to make sure that we have going to bring some happiness to our lives day in and day out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So so today, guys, we're gonna be talking about, well, first of all, I know my apologies for not being on ready for the podcast. I know it's been a bit crazy last few weeks, not only like being away traveling and the time differences. I know hard to keep up with our favorite pastime, baseball. And also the flu that's actually going around was definitely knocked down and no voice whatsoever. So
Mhm.
kind of hard to do a podcast when you cannot talk. So with that said, today we're going to be talking about the teams are actually on fire in the season. I know the ones that have actually surprised us, those players that have been, ripping it up, and the ones that aren't ripping it up in the season. Then we're going to be talking about also things outside the fields. There were two topics that are red hot in terms of like off the field situations with Ron Acuna and Duran from Boston. Very unfortunate incident yesterday as well. And then obviously our trivia question of the day, which I'll let my friend Alex go through that trivia question, which I have to admit it's pretty intense and definitely got me when he actually told me about it.
All right, my dude. So, what player has the highest number of no-hitters broken up with a home run? The
Whoa.
record stands at 81 no-hitters broken up with a home run by a single player.
Wow. It's definitely not two, this is not three, but 80. Wow, 80 plus. That's unbelievable. Of course, do not Google. Definitely one of the things that's kind of interesting enough for this particular question. Not only the number of broken no hitters, but to actually break them with a home run, it's definitely mind blowing when it comes to that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's definitely a great question. We'll give you some hints in our um, uh, All-Star break coming up. So let's dive into our topics and our summary elements in our next section. We'll be right back.
Opening day.
All right. Here we are, our next section in the podcast. So, Mr. Alex, let's talk high level teams before we dive into each player. Hot teams and cold teams. Which one has been the most surprising one for you in terms of red hot and ice cold in this beginning of the 2025 season?
Absolutely. I mean, how how can we not talk about the Mets at this point? They five-game winning streak coming in through this weekend, uh, extending their lead in the NL East. The Dodgers have four straight, staying atop of the West. Astros won three, Tigers won three. This it's pretty good all in all.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of that's those are definitely the hot teams. To one that we definitely have to add to that list, we have to add the San Diego Padres that and the San Francisco Giants in that National League West that it's absolutely on fire. For those of you
Absolutely.
that thought that the Dodgers were going to go, I don't know, end to end, and then there was going to be no contest. That's baseball. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And they had another bad news. I know for the Dodgers. Glass now just went down apparently with a
Oh,
shoulder
did he?
issue this morning. He only pitched 3 innings, so unfortunately, that's one of those guys that seems to be around injuries very often. So apparently, they're down to four of the original 8 or 10 starters that they had today. So. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable what's
Yeah.
happening in that division. Definitely, and like I was saying in that division, obviously, that the original prediction from a lot of people were, no, no, obviously the Dodgers were actually going to run with it, and the other ones were just going to play for a wild card spot. But between first place and fourth place in that division, there's only 2 games. As of yesterday, I think it was only a game and a half. So anybody can actually do that and do something extraordinary in that division. Except the Rockies, they're expected to their projected win total. It's under 25, I think it is right now. So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of work to be done there.
Well,
Um,
they've got 11 so
yeah,
far, and they're the only team in the NL West under 500. So that's something for that division, right?
yeah, exactly.
And the Dodgers and Giants start their series on Monday, which will vie for top spot in that bracket.
Yeah, so I mean, it definitely, that's I knew that division was going to be good, but I never thought it was going to be that good and that close this early in the season. Still a lot of baseball to be played, but the fact that teams like the San Francisco Giants are right there, and if anybody blinks, so they can actually going to run with that division. Same with the San Diego Padres. I know they're just kind of playing for keeps in terms of that division. So those are obviously the hot teams right now for us, or what we have actually seen so far. And we got to talk about the ice cold ones. Obviously, starting with the Colorado Rockies, being the only team under 500 in that division, and having, if I remember correctly, the second, or if not the worst record in the major leagues at the moment. Another team that it's definitely improving, but it's outslugging teams right now. But their pitching is definitely not responding. Are the Atlanta Braves? They're definitely had a really slow start. But they're definitely outslugging people right now and kind of winning games and whatnot. But
Yeah.
and another team that unfortunately for those of you that are in Canada seems to be kind of heading in the wrong direction, unfortunately, in that division are the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 1-5 the last 5 game in that last 6 games. Like today they got swept by the New York Yankees. So those are the ones that I definitely want to talk about. Alex, any other team that has surprises you in terms of poor performance this early in the season?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a deep dive to explain the dynamic here, but the AL East only has one team over 500, and that's the darn Yankees. The Red Sox
Yeah,
are 500 in second. But yeah, I think the normal strugglers are there in the AL East. It's the Rays and the Orioles. Orioles
yeah,
only have 10 wins, tied with Kansas City Royals, tied with the Miami Marlins. Nope, the Marlins have one less loss. So
yeah,
um, the Rockies are only the fourth worst team from my just quick glimpse
yeah,
here. Um, After the Rockies, the Reds, Marlins,
yeah,
Royals, Orioles. So,
yeah,
but again, the beauty of, as much as we grieve the fact that it's a long, long season, and it wears on,
yeah,
it does wear on.
yeah.
And if you're trying to read the tea leaves at 25, 26 games into the season, that's some silliness. So
Yeah.
there's most of the baseball left to play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing that done, like you mentioned, Alex, in terms of those teams that right now might not be firing in all cylinders. Those wins that they let slip this early, you know, they definitely carry a lot of weight, especially in the August and September time of the year, when you're kind of only one game away or half a game. This I find, at least for me, and like the first quarter of the season, definitely more important than that middle of the season part of it, and it basically shows not only who's there and who has the pieces to make it happen, but also kind of shows like that picture in terms of like the trade deadline as well. So kind of interesting, and I'd like to kind of see some of the teams that not everybody was kind of looking at to kind of run with it. Like for example, like I never expected the the Mets to be running with that division with a on a run differential of like 58, if I remember correctly. So they're definitely, and Soto not actually producing at the rate that they were expecting them to produce. So definitely one of those things that interesting, and that's what baseball is all about. So you have to
Yeah,
play the 27
best
outs.
record in baseball at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, I mean, those are the the key teams that are absolutely on fire, and the ones that are definitely ice cold, and they're definitely going deeper and deeper into the freezer. So, with that, we definitely gonna we'll jump into our next section, talking about the players that they have actually been tearing it up and not tearing it up, of course, in this start of the 2025 season. We'll be right back.
Regular season.
Okay, so section number 2. And I know here's what we're going to talk about the players, not so much the teams. They're absolutely on fire. So the one that have actually shocked me in terms of the production, maybe not average, but in terms of the production and how he has, in my opinion, carried that team offensively this early of the season, and is Pete Alonso. I honestly thought that he was going to be one of those guys that it was just going to be just protection for Juan Soto, and just going to be another extra piece and not make that much of a difference this early in the season. But he has definitely carried that offense because Juan Soto, unfortunately, has not produced anywhere remotely kind of close to the clip of the $700 million. How about you, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna make a quasi shout out here to my Snakes and Eugenio Suarez,
Yeah.
leading the league with 10 bombs. A lot of that on the back of a 4 home run game against Atlanta. 19th player in history to do so. They
Yeah.
did end up losing, but you don't get much hotter than that.
Yeah, absolutely. And only the second Latin-born player to actually do that. So 4 home run shout out to Eugenio. His nickname is Bolibomba, kind of bubble gum. For those of you that didn't know. So there's a quick tidbit there.
There you go.
From Caracas, from Bolivar, Venezuela, from a very, very, very small town close to the Amazon in Venezuela. So I'm gonna shout out to Eugenio Suarez for those 4 home runs. And interestingly enough, I know there's the other connection that the other Latin player that had actually done hit 4 home runs in the major league is Carlos Delgado. So there's that and a Canadian connection right there for the other Latin players. So
Very good.
the other guy that definitely has, in my opinion, the change of position has actually made it a huge impact for his production lately, and also the early help for his team is Fernando Tatis Jr. Definitely, in my opinion, he owes the baseball fans and the San Diego fans that production, because obviously he's been known more for his off the field antics than than the on field antics, and he's definitely has been tearing it up and over 300 man of batting average, home runs, doubles. He's definitely been doing everything for the San Diego Padres. So little shout out there. So something to keep in mind there. Of course, we're gonna that in terms of Tatis, we have to kind of be a little cautious because, of course, one of the things that he was caught in the past, and we have to be very cautious about it, is actually another use of PED. So hopefully this is actually a legit version of it. So we have to kind of make sure that it's not history repeating itself. So and
Yeah,
yeah.
this is. I mean, we could probably do an entire 3 hour episode talking about the PED
Mhm.
conversation because I think probably cycling would be the only sport that's even close to um, baseball when it comes to the relevance of the PED
Yeah.
conversation. Um, but my take generally is like I don't hate the ideas of PEDs fundamentally, right?
Yeah.
I think doing things that are going to blow your heart up is probably not great. However, they are illegal,
Yeah.
and you guys are millionaires
Mhm.
with agents and dietitians and nutritionists. So I'm open-minded to the fact that they're tainted supplements out there.
Mhm.
There's lots of disreputable manufacturers of those sorts of things, but come on.
Yeah.
You have the money to go buy the good stuff.
Yeah.
There's,
The right stuff,
USADA
anyways. Yeah.
has really
Yeah.
good reference material for those sorts of things that you can find the supplements that you like that is not going to have you, pee hot.
Yeah.
So as much as it's like it is a thing, I guess I'm not super sympathetic to the excuse making because it is what it is.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, if it's actually you and I that don't know how to kind of do that dietitian and everything all our own, I would say sure, you can always actually kind of miss one thing and here and there, whatnot. But come on, like I know those guys definitely, like that. All the meals are prepared for them, all the supplements are actually on. There's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. And then for them to actually got to go, oh well, I completely forgot about this, or oh, I forgot to kind of tell you this. I was like, come on, give me a break. Absolutely not the
And I mean,
case.
in addition to that,
Yeah,
I can't imagine that the testing regimen for the MLB is anywhere close to like the fight sports
yeah,
or the Olympics. So the flip side of that is like, A,
yeah,
how are you getting caught? B, why are you taking things that are gonna
yeah.
help make you to get caught and that sort of thing? And C, is it making a positive difference? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. I mean, I'm glad that you kind of brought it up that way. Is like, I mean, originally like PED, we're actually gonna to improve your recovery time and whatnot, and not necessarily as a performance enhancing drug. It was actually for recovery kind of purposes. Then it kind of evolved, and obviously, the faster you can recover, the more you can actually enhance your performance in terms of like no, no, like that. But now when you actually have all the elements, the testing at ML and MLB is not every night, not every game, not every series. It's technically random. So for you to actually kind of be caught, it's kind of one of those things. It has to be either obvious or a whistleblower somewhere. So
yeah.
definitely kind of an interesting topic there. Switching, using that as a segue to switch into who's iceberg cold in the start of the season. Obviously, we cannot shy away from talking about the ones that got the massive contracts in the offseason that they're definitely not producing to start. Starting with the shortstop for the San Francisco Giants, even though the team is doing great, he's not doing so great in Willie Adames. He's barely hitting above the Mendoza line. No homers. I think it's like only 5 RBIs. So definitely for the amount of money that he got, definitely not not exactly the torrid start that he actually kind of wanted. And then the other two that made a lot of headlines in the offseason, whether it was because of the type of trade that they got or the money that they got, were Anthony Santander, even though today he went yard in the Bronx, has been struggling mightily. Um, his timing is definitely absolutely off. Not exactly producing the homers that the Jays were expecting him to produce, and it was only, I don't know, 3, if I remember correctly. And last but not least, since they were playing in the Bronx, we have to mention somebody that lost their closer role as of this morning. Devin Williams for the Yankees. He was announced this morning that with an ERA of north of 11, yes, north of 11, not gonna cut it as the closer of those Bronx Bombers. Mr.
Mhm.
Alex, any other player other than those three that you go, holy cow, what happened there?
Yeah, I mean my cursory check of the players on the MLB panic meter. Some of the names that are up on there, like Chris Sale is on that, and I go, eh, it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's Chris Sale. He's
Yeah.
gonna be the best pitcher to ever exist 25% of the time.
Yep.
And then you're worried about the rest, but 14.2 innings pitched. He's given up 19 hits and has a 6.75 ERA. So either there's a solve to him or the fact that his body is as fragile as it is, it is kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The other guy I'm looking at is Yanier Diaz with the Astros.
Oh,
Um, he's
forgot about
hitting
him.
.061, which
Ooh.
I get is a you know it's early in the season, but
Yeah.
given that he was uh, a favorite for the All-Star,
Yeah.
was he an All-Star last year?
He was in the ballot for sure. Like I mean, he was kind of like in that
Okay.
second round of like a player kind of voting, I think.
Hmm.
But definitely like oof, like
He's hitting around 300, but now just doesn't have it
yeah,
figured out, and um, you don't always expect a ton of offensive production from your catcher, but you
yeah.
probably need a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I definitely I know you want to hit at least your weight. Like, come on, give me a break. Like,
And then probably Wilson Contreras. That would be the other guy I would put on there. Getting a decent chunk of a change, but he's hitting 102
yeah, like
as
that's
the hitting guy for the Cardinals. So he's playing first and DHing and
yeah.
no homers, you know.
Yeah, and like I definitely kind of like for him, I definitely kind of wanted to add one thing. And like obviously now that he's a full-time first baseman, not having to worry about the whole switching back and forth between front catcher and first base.
Mhm.
I was expecting no, for that to be trending up, not trending down. If I think if I read it correctly, and then like somewhere all on the panic meter for him, it's close to 9 out of 10 or 8.8 out of 10.
Yeah,
Um,
8.6.
yeah, 8.6 out of 10. Because obviously, one of the main reasons they made that move is to actually keep his bat healthy and less issues between the ears, and has actually been kind of going in the wrong direction there. So quite interesting there. So those are those guys that for those of you that in that fantasy baseball world, those are the guys to chase, and those are the guys that are kind of run away from right now.
Yeah.
One guy that I'm like, obviously using this as a segue for because I know obviously we're guys that also play fantasy baseball, and a fun thing to kind of keep us busy. Another guy that's absolutely great, and if you can actually go and get it, it's Dylan Moore from the Seattle Mariners.
Mm.
He can play five different positions, so it's definitely the typical guy that you can have in the bench. I know somebody goes down, he can actually play for you. But he last month he was actually the player of the month. So one of those guys that if he's available in your league, definitely worth picking up in the fantasy league. Any other guys that you wanna um shout out or not go and get kind of guys for fantasy?
Very good.
Yeah. All right. So that's in terms of those our high level hot, not so hot players to start the 2025 season. And we'll jump into our All-Star break. We will talk about our local initiatives. There's a lot of things going on right now in the city. We had our opening day last night, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. So we'll be right back.
All-Star break.
All right, people, we are here at the All-Star break where we talk about our sponsors here at HomePlate 33 with friends, with our friend Alex from Chill TV. First, we're gonna have Mark Lumber for those bats, and they're absolutely primo, especially for the amount of baseball season that we're currently in, especially adult baseball, and none of for those professional cut bats. Use the promo code HomePlate 33 for your order, and you'll receive a 10% off on your purchase. And if the purchase is over $100, it's free shipping. So double savings there. Launchpad. Um, Launchpadprotector.com. Promo code HomePlay 33 as well, and then you'll get a 10% discount. Yesterday, I got to use mine, and even though my bat broke with a fastball and my hands didn't hurt. So definitely gets the job done, but I got a base hit right after that. So, I mean, that's baseball. Obviously, Pin to Web, our web portal in Venezuela, for those of you that are listening to us south of the border. In terms of like the local news, obviously, like we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, obviously very somber time in Vancouver. A lot of people are in absolutely shock of what happened yesterday, downtown Vancouver, with the Filipino festival and the person, because I mean I don't even know how to refer to the person that actually did what he did. Um, that obviously our hearts go out to them. In terms of our local community, my friend Alex and I had our home opener for the 2025 season of Lower Mainland Baseball Association, our 30 and over division. Unfortunately, we came out in the losing end of our but we fought until the end. We were actually winning until the eighth inning. So we were able to not only play, but we were able to actually broadcast our game in our social media channels and YouTube. So for those of you starting next week, we're going to be posting our schedule so you can actually watch our games live on YouTube and Instagram. Yeah, so like that way you can actually support our team and enjoy some adult baseball there. And for those of you that are in Chilliwack, obviously, make sure to come out and cheer us on. And we definitely enjoy that energy. And I have to admit, it was a great energy yesterday. So how was your experience yesterday, my friend?
Yeah, it was a fun game. We're missing a couple key pieces there, and um, I know we mentioned it a couple episodes ago that our team had split, and the other Fraser Valley team was able to put
Hmm.
together, and they were the ones who ended up beating us last night. But it is what it is. I'm more optimistic that, there's
Yep,
that many adult men playing baseball that we can have two teams out here. It's very
absolutely.
cool. Abbotsford still doesn't have one, so we're it's optimistic, although would have liked to bring home the dub.
Yeah, exactly. I know definitely, and like you said, Alex, to actually have just on the field, we had close to 25, 26 men gonna be ready to play and enjoy, and we had at least like 30, 40 kind of people actually gonna come out, and maybe more actually. By the end of the game, and look at the stands were actually full, so that was
Mhm.
kind of nice to see there. And well, it was an interesting game in terms of. I'm definitely not going to throw the umpires under the bus or anything like that. But it was definitely an interesting game all around in terms of the ups and downs. And like, the final score was 14-11 for the Fraser Valley D-backs against us, the Chilliwack Cubs. But it was definitely a fun one. It was tied until the sixth. We went up in the seventh, and then they came back and rallied in the ninth. So it was definitely worth the watch, and absolutely encourage you guys to actually gonna come out and watch us there. And if you don't want to watch adult baseball, you want to watch college baseball, the UFV Cascades baseball team is actually kicking around all over the lower mainland and the interior as well, playing their season. So definitely check them out. They play in Chilliwack, they play in Abbotsford, they play out in Vancouver. So they play pretty much everywhere or mainland. great college baseball. So something for you guys to actually check it out. So we'll definitely, I know, just it's UFV Athletics. It's their handle on Instagram. And then you can actually see the schedule for them. And for us, we're going to be posting our schedule on our Instagram feed, which is CHWK Cubs Baseball, Chilliwack Baseball. So you guys can follow our schedule. All right, Alex, hint for our trivia question of the day.
Hmm. So I guess the reminder of the question is, what player has the most no-hitters broken up with a home run? The record stands at 81, and he is alive but not an active pitcher or player.
Yeah, I was gonna say a pitcher. Holy cow! I don't know, unless it's I don't know, like Mr. Hamilton or whatever that play for the Rockies. I don't think there's not or Babe Ruth. I don't think there's much of a chance. And we know it's not Babe Ruth because, as Alex said, he's still alive and kicking. So definitely something to think about. You don't have to go that far into the history books in terms of that. Please do not Google, do not Chat GPT, do not Gemini the question because it's definitely one of those cool ones to try to kind of work your way through.
I had to fact check myself there. He is dead,
Oh, okay.
but he passed away within the last 3 years.
There you go. Okay. So, but again, it's definitely not Babe Ruth for sure.
Not Babe Ruth.
Yeah, or Ty Cobb or any of those guys that you can actually think of because it's actually from the old generation or whatnot. So, definitely something to think about there. Okay, so this wraps up our all-star section, and then we're gonna go into our next section when we talk about things outside the field. And we'll be right back. Then we'll talk about some interesting topics for the Atlanta Braves and the Boston Red Sox, two red hot topics right now. They're going around the majors.
Trade deadline.
All right, so we get to this section, which it's very juicy this week. I think this is where we're going to spend the most time, again, giving our thoughts and trying to identify on what would be the right or not right approach to this thing. There are two topics outside the field that we'll be talking today. Are obviously the Ronald Acuna Jr. Situation down in Atlanta, what happened. So I'll give you a high level summary of what had actually happened. There was a situation with Jared Kelnick that was trying to pimp a home run and like hit the ball. Oppo in one of their not a key games, obviously a team that's actually struggling, so it's even worse at that point. He stood at home plate watching the ball go. The ball did not go. Not only that, he instead of staying at first base and kind of, I don't know, like just dealing with the situation and the humiliation at that point, he tried to stretch it into a double, and he was actually tagged out at second base. Why is that a big deal? Well, first of all, unless you're not sure, unless you're sure about a home run, do not pimp it. I know, first thing is first. But the thing is, usually, and Alex can correct me here, that's an automatic taking out of the game for pretty much every player in the majors. And I don't know the majority of our leagues. That did not happen. Some people actually kind of claim that it was because they didn't have very many outfielders, or they were already struggling, so there was no point of taking him out. It was just an internal kind of situation. So this Mr. Kelnick was not taken out of the game. And within a few minutes, as soon as the information came out in Twitter, our friend Ronald Acuna Jr., his first comment was stating that, I don't know, there's a definitely implying a double standard in the Braves organization, especially with manager Snicker, that if it was him that would be having that situation, he would have been kind of kicked out of the game. So, definitely a lot to unpack there, my friend Alex. So, what are your thoughts on this particular situation? And I'll give you my thoughts after.
I think two things come to mind. The first is I wish social media is it is such a double-edged sword. I think in terms of being able to have a relationship with the players, see what they're up to, follow, their personality and temperament, it's great, but I've never once seen or heard of a situation where someone commented on a post and things went well. Like it seems to be a universal truism and an unwritten rule that if you're going to comment on a post in social media, it's never going to go well.
Yeah.
I challenge anyone to send me a sports news story or a news story in generally where someone commented on another thing and we're like, that
Yeah.
resolved the issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
On that note, unwritten rules are unwritten,
Yeah.
and baseball is a very traditional culture that's gone under pretty severe transformation. So, well, the unwritten rule is, don't showboat a home run if it's not going to be a home run. And then to double down on that and mess up on the base path, it's like
Yeah.
it's a brain fart. I
Yeah,
believe that
absolutely.
is the technical
Yeah,
term.
definitely the technical term. Definitely the baseball term for sure. There's no
And
question about
so
it.
if I think the response isn't great, the situation isn't great, and Acuna is probably right, but also why are we airing this out on
Yeah.
the open internet? This seems like a locker room conversation.
Oh, absolutely. I know, like that's a thing that seems to be the consensus actually out there is that even though Acuna, at least in my personal opinion, he was absolutely right in terms of what he said. It was definitely the wrong medium, the wrong way to go about it. And just to kind of add a little bit more context as well in terms of the whole Acuna situation and his manager Snicker. In 2019, he had issues with the manager because he was actually jogging out a ball, I don't know, to the wall, resulting in a single, and then kind of got caught stealing, and then he kind of like got kicked out of the game. So they definitely kind of going back and forth. So that was part of implying that there was a double standard. I don't know if it's actually kind of towards him or towards Latin players per se, but definitely some beef there. But just to kind of air it out on Twitter, I mean, come on, give me a break. And for no, no, like in that way, just adding a little bit more fuel to that fire. And for you to Alex to understand also some of the background and some of the that information that you were talking about. Nothing came out, nothing good comes out of replying on Twitter, especially on situations like that. His father, Acuna Jr.'s dad, in the past couple
You
of
you
years.
you mean Ronald Acuna Sr.?
I don't think, yeah, John Acuna Sr. Let's call it. Yeah,
Because it's
exactly.
Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So Ronald Acuna Sr. Not only replied to a few things and then a final in the Caribbean tournament, like the winter ball tournament. Not and it actually offered some punches, for lack of a better word, to the people that was actually tweeting. So they became a big thing about it. So it seems to be a family thing in terms of being able to actually do that. But at the same time, like, come on, guys. I mean, unless you're trying to make the situation better, and I'm gonna just I don't know, like, there's something called private messages. There's something called WhatsApp. Do not, no, no, like if you really want to keep it private and you really want to talk to the people that actually can make a difference, do not put it on Twitter. I mean, come on, keep it.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah,
hey, manager. Hey, Snicker, can I talk to you for a second? Hey, I felt like that
yeah,
was like a weird thing because you pulled me and then you didn't
yeah,
pull him.
yeah.
I'm looking up Snicker's comment here, and he said, the quote was, quite honestly, you want to know the truth? I wasn't watching that play. I knew he got thrown out at second, and I didn't see it until this morning, and I talked to him about it.
Yeah, I don't
So,
know about
like,
it. Yeah, I mean, come on. To me,
maybe
that sounds like a cop out, to be honest with you. Because I
it,
mean,
it
maybe he didn't see it, but you're telling me that coaches didn't see it? I mean,
it
really?
it it
Yeah,
might be, but
yeah,
it's also like, okay,
yeah,
let's again, it's like
yeah.
there's no situation where Acuna or his dad are helping resolve this.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Um, because you might be absolutely right, but if you've turned into a locker room cancer, it's like, great, you're the one going to be traded. You're going to feel victimized from it
Yep.
because, in some instances, rightfully so, you are the victim in this instance.
Yeah.
But because you responded to this situation so poorly, so publicly, and so like
Yeah.
whiny, like,
Oh no, absolutely. And the part that actually I think it made it even worse, even taking all the unwritten rules aside, the fact that he's not in the clubhouse and he's actually watching it from afar while he's recovering from an injury made it even worse. Like made it
yeah.
extra whiny about it because if you're in the dugout and you can actually see him screaming at Snicker in the dugout, I'd be the first one to defend Acuna, be like, okay, well, you're in the dugout, you're talking to the right person, let him have it. I mean, no, so be it. No, whether it's in the clubhouse or not. But the fact
Mhm.
that you're not with the team, you're trying to come back, you don't know what the status of your return is going to be, and you're definitely going to need your manager, behind you, when you're actually going to struggle and to actually do that. I mean, that's wow. That definitely blew my mind, and no, in not in a good way. So
Yeah, it's
yeah,
so crazy.
so backwards. So that's in terms of that, and then the second one, which I have to admit, it absolutely, excuse my language, but it absolutely freaking pissed me off when I saw it. It happened yesterday or this morning. The situation that happened with Duran in Cleveland. Jared Duran, then a center fielder for the Boston Red Sox. Um, there was a shot of him like kind of arguing with somebody in the stands and whatnot. And at first, I know, like, and it took me some time to kind of see what it was all about. I mean, because obviously, as much as I absolutely do not like it, I know there's hecklers, and I know obviously people are going to be screaming things at players, but players usually do a pretty good job at kind of letting it be and kind of not listen to them. But this fan definitely went above and beyond and not exactly the right approach. Duran in 2022, he admittedly, I know, definitely considered suicide, or had a suicide attempt in 2022. And this fan started screaming at him that, if I'm paraphrasing, from what I actually read, that was actually telling him that you should have actually killed yourself when you had the chance. So apparently, kind of like a Major League Baseball, if I remember correctly, if I'm seeing, well, obviously the Guardians definitely took actions right away, but there's some measures right now. Apparently, that the fan it's going to be banned for life for comments like that. They're absolutely uncalled for, regardless of whatever heckling, whatever. I don't know whoever's actually the opposition there. So um absolutely ridiculous, stupid comment. And especially if I'm looking when you're dealing with mental illness or situations and emotional situations, for you to actually go out of your way to be not only paying exorbitant amount of time to actually be, I think it was like in the front row, right outside the dugout, and to actually scream at a player, something like that. That's just absolutely stupid and uncalled for. Your thoughts, Alex, on this particular stupidity from fans?
Yeah, it's dumb to me because I've never really understood the like as a fan of sports
Mhm.
generally. I've never really understood the instinct to heckle.
Yeah,
Like I don't understand as a person why that would be enjoyable because you're just a schmuck,
yeah,
right? Like even even if you say something that was like pungent and true, it's like you're probably a dumb slob,
yeah,
4 beers deep into this evening, and you're yelling at a multi-millionaire 20-year-old who's playing a game
yeah,
professionally that you're paying to watch. So
yeah.
you're not the cool guy in this situation.
Never, never. So, and it's like exactly what you're saying in terms of like, for example, like using that and like on Twitter. It's not okay on Twitter, let alone to actually do it in person as well. So you're actually like obviously saying it to people um that you admire and they're entertaining you, for lack of a better word, and
Hmm.
they're professional athletes and you're screaming things like that. I mean, how dumb do you have to be? Like, I'm sorry, but I mean, I don't see any other like exactly like you said, you're like 4, 10, I don't know, 10 beers deep, and but even then, it's
Yeah.
definitely to actually go because one thing, as I agree with you, and like one thing is being um an idiot in terms of like, oh yeah, you're a bum. I don't know, like I know you cannot hit the ball, I don't know, like to save your life or whatever if you're struggling on the play. Like I mean, those are things that okay, fine, whatever, you can
Yeah.
deal with it, quote unquote. But for you to actually go into not only know that player's life and the struggles that they actually had, and to actually use that in a baseball game just because he plays for another like their position. I mean, that's to me that just absolutely blew my mind. Like it's definitely not acceptable. Period. Full stop. You know what I mean?
100%. And look, I'm not a fan of lifetime bans because I tend to be generally a fan of forgiveness. And if they're not going to jail, then
Yeah.
you
Hmm.
eventually let them back onto the field. But hopefully, a
Yeah.
little bit of reflection is
Yeah.
due here. I mean, Jaron Duran had a great game.
Yep.
He's hitting over 300. He had a triple, two RBIs,
You stole home plate.
scored a few runs. Yeah, stole home. So good for
Yeah.
good for you, you loser. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I I we'll
It.
put him as a mouth breather of the month.
Yeah, I know, and that's kind of one of those things that makes me admire, especially on like I know in this particular case, on Jaron Duran. He showed the guy that with actions, not necessarily gonna with punches and anything like that, even though he had to be held back for obvious reasons, and I definitely he needed to do that. But to actually kind of like not only steal home, make amazing plays in the field to kind of show people like, look, I don't know, like this idiot, and this is what then he's kind of heckling. I don't know. It's absolutely
Maybe here's the rule
ridiculous.
moving forward is every ticket agreement. So
Yeah.
everyone recognizes the terms and conditions every time they buy a ticket to a sporting
Yeah.
event. Um, that we could add a section that would allow players to pick a fan to fight as a team at the end of the game.
Yeah, there you go. That's I don't
If you
know.
get kicked out for heckling, you have to then wait in a empty room,
Yep.
and then the other team or the team can send in like six guys to just wail on you a little bit, and then we can just move on with life.
Well, there you
I am
go. I
not
know.
an advocate of physical violence.
Not an advocate of physical violence, but if you're
I'm
an
a
idiot, you earned
connoisseur.
it. Yeah, you earned it. Because I mean, it's definitely, and like this is the PSA of this particular podcast, guys. I mean, they're like Alex said, very eloquently earlier. They're professional athletes. They're remember, think about it this way. Like one of the guys that told me the Vancouver Canadians, and it rings true every single time. Remember, think of it when you have to go for your annual work review when they have to tell you all the things that you did right or wrong and everything in between. Think about it that way. And these guys get reviewed every single time they step on the field. So it's not something that they kind of every at bat, every time that they actually kind of take a swing, every time that they look up and look at the scoreboard. If they're doing amazing, yeah, okay, fine. But if they're not doing fine, every single pitch, they want to be able to actually kind of go from batting 120 to 300 in one swing. So the pressure is always there, or vice versa. Even when you're at the toppest of the top, they want to actually kind of stay there. So obviously that's extra pressure. And for people that take this as an outlet for their personal problems and take it on I don't know, professional players, it's definitely not acceptable. So that's our PSA for this episode because it's absolutely ridiculous. And definitely just because you had a couple of adult beverages doesn't give you the right to be a jerk on the stands, because that's the nicest way I can put it without using any obscenities in this
Absolutely.
podcast, because we want
But
to keep it
let's not
PG-13.
give him any more attention.
Exactly.
Jaron Duran had a great game. He's
Yep.
doing well. He could be
Yep.
the most jacked guy in baseball, so
Yep.
check out some of his workouts on YouTube.
Oh, they're
I certainly
massive.
feel inadequate watching.
Yeah, they're very yeah, like if you watch those ones and Yeah, you either want to run to the gym and trying to kind of see and do half of them, or you want to go, oh, well, I might have to scroll out because I'm definitely not anywhere close to that.
Yeah,
So respect to Jared Duran for being there and overcoming what he did in 2022 and being a monster that he is with the
yeah,
Boston Red Sox. All right,
absolutely.
so we're I don't know, like Alex actually said, we're not going to give more um stardom or time to those people that actually don't deserve it in this podcast. So we'll leave this one outside the field. So we'll go into our final session, which we'll talk about our high level summary of what we talked about today. And the answer to that amazing question of the day that our friend Alex from Chill TV brought us today to discuss. So we'll be right back.
World Series.
All right, so we are here in our final section of the podcast. So here we're going to do a very flash, not a high executive summary of what we talked about today. Hot teams. We talked about the New York Mets, even though Soto has not exploded with the bat. The rest of the team is carrying the load and leading that division, the highest uh, division lead right now in the majors in that division. I know we got the Tigers that just swept the Orioles in Detroit. I know there's smoking hot team there. Who am I escaping that we talked about? Oh, the San Francisco Giants and the San Diego Padres, absolutely red hot in the National League. That division absolutely on fire. Definitely, man, a must-watch TV. In the American League West, which we didn't mention it earlier, but we have to mention it. The Seattle Mariners and the Texas Rangers are like gonna head-to-head. They're leading that division. We didn't mention them, in terms of like being hot because they gonna keep going up and down. But that division is absolutely tight, and then anybody can actually win that division. In terms of the players that are like hot and not hot, in my case, I brought up the white bear, the polar bear, Pete Alonso. Alex, which one do you bring up on your side?
Good question.
Just checking to see if you're
Cardinals,
awake.
Wilson
Los
Contreras,
Contreras, yep.
honorable mention to Chris Sale,
Yeah.
and then catcher for the Astros, Diaz?
Yeah,
No,
yep. Yeah, Janer Diaz.
yeah,
Janer Diaz in terms of like the not so hot
not
players right now.
so hot.
And in terms of the fantasy recommendations, Dylan Moore, if you don't have it, trade for him. Definitely, turn the world on fire in terms of doing everything in terms of being the utility guy for the Mariners. So definitely can give you at least five positions so you can actually bring it in and out there. Another guy that actually cannot hit the side of the barn to actually save his life is Willie Adames right now. Unfortunately, after that monster contract, it's only batting a buck 40 if I remember correctly. So a couple of names there that can help you keep in track of your fantasy baseball. Um, Oh, another guy, kind of like before I forget, for fantasy that has definitely had numbers have actually gone down quite dramatically. Has not helped the rotation for your team, the D-backs, Alex, is Colvin Burns. His spin rate has actually been going down. He's been let up quite heavily. So something to watch out for those of you playing fantasy baseball.
Absolutely.
Maybe something to hold on to. I wouldn't actually just let him go just yet, but definitely a struggling pitcher to kind of keep an eye on it. And in terms of outside the field section, we talked about the dilemma in terms of Ronald Acuna Jr. High on, basically in one word, keep it well in one sentence I would say keep it in house. Do not do it in social media. I don't know, like whether you're right or not, do not use social media. Do not follow your dad in terms of that. We don't usually say that very often, and like do not follow your dad footsteps in terms of social media and airing out all your problems publicly. So Ronald, I don't know, like you're very talented, but I don't know, even if you're right, which I think you are right in terms of what you wrote, definitely not the right channel to actually do it there. And in terms of the idiot, without going into details, that was screaming stupidities at Jared Duran during today's game. I don't know. Don't go to a baseball game, even though we're preachers of kind of forgiveness in terms of that kind of stuff and then not live bands. But if one goes to the extent to actually go into somebody's history and mental, I don't know, mental issues that they actually had a few years ago and air it out for everybody to hear and actually done afford no, no, to heckle a player, they definitely don't deserve to actually be, in my personal opinion, they do not deserve to to be enjoying the beautiful game of baseball that we're trying to enjoy. So, and with that, I'll segue into my friend Alex to talk about that awesome trivia question that definitely got me. I did not Google it. I tried to think about it, and honestly, it just the home runs absolutely blew my mind. Like, I mean, if you would have told me, well, maybe 81 hits or 81 doubles or 81 situations, but 81 homers? Like, I mean, that's insane.
Well, this is going to be a real groaner because the player that has the most no-hitters broken up with a home run at 81 is Ricky Henderson.
You're kidding me. What? Oh my
Yeah,
God,
because he's
Ricky.
had 81 leadoff homers in his career, and technically that's breaking
What?
up a no-hitter.
What? Wow. That's a head scratcher right there.
It's
I mean,
it's a
that's
groaner because you're like,
whoa,
leadoff home runs.
whoa, that's wow, that's pretty cool. That is
I
pretty
know,
cool.
because when you hear no-hitter, you think of
Yeah.
seventh, eighth, ninth inning.
Exactly. And in my mind, I was actually kind of going through like people like Manny Ramirez and like people that definitely are homer here hitters or Barry Bonds, but to actually kind of think about that, it's like, wow, that just blew my
Yeah,
mind.
it's
Absolutely.
definitely a technicality trivia question, but
Yeah, but it's true. I mean, that's absolutely true. Our RAP, to Ricky Henderson, and definitely, but I honestly, I was nowhere remotely close to actually answering that question. So,
yeah,
great
almost
question, my man.
300 career home runs for the Man of Steel.
Yeah. Wow. And how many? So he had 81. Like
Almost, yeah, it would be 81 of them would be as the first at bat of the game.
that's insane. That is absolutely, and that's one guy that definitely when he hit it, he knew when to pimp it. So that in my opinion, he was one of the first guys in that the neck and then this recent generation of baseball players that when he pimped it, he definitely earned that pimp. Especially when he did that, like the shirt and everything when he actually hit a home run. I mean, that was some style. That was some
Yeah,
style. So uh
absolutely.
yeah, shout out to him wherever he is in the next planet. So
Oh, I'm sure he's taking bases with the baseball gods.
oh, absolutely, he's definitely stealing bases on the left and right, and with Johnny, like on one of those guys, there, and showing him
I bet
how to
you
do it.
he's probably replaying all the times he got put out and deciding whether or not he would have made that with the bigger bases.
Oh, absolutely, like that
I
that
would have got 2,000 if I had the bigger bases when I played.
that and making fun of the people for the guys actually right now in the game that they're like, oh my God, you're actually celebrating because you stole 70 bases. Come on, like that was just a kind of breakfast for me. Definitely
Exactly.
quite
Well,
insane.
side note, he's probably looking pretty excitedly at the Rays rookie Simpson.
Yeah, that guy can fly. That guy can
He's
fly.
ripping the baseline. So
Yeah, he's definitely
shout
an
out to is it Chandler Simpson?
Chandler Simpson. Yep. So
Yeah.
he definitely has a chance to be. Like I was actually listening to it that it's the first apparently legitimate chance for base stealer to get triple digits in this season. So that hasn't happened in I think it's like 15 years.
I
The
think it's the
triple digit.
80s. I think
Yeah.
it's the
So
80s the last time we had a 100 base stolen season.
yeah, so that says a lot, and then to actually have Ricky Henderson I don't know, regularly to actually gonna do triple digit steals, that's next level
Absolutely.
stuff. All right, guys. So now that we're done with our travels and we have a regular scheduled programming for our baseball season, so we'll have our our podcast a little bit more regularly now. So we're definitely going to be aiming to have it every week. Either myself and Alex or myself will carry the torch moving forward. So we're going to be at the Vancouver Canadians next week. Bringing you some content, and hopefully we can talk a little bit Vancouver Canadians baseball in terms of what the expectations, the rookies that they have actually having the team right now. So we'll try to bring that to you in the next episode of the podcast. So Alex, the microphone
We're
is yours
back,
to say goodbye
baby.
to them. Yeah, we're back.
We're back, baby. It's baseball time.
Exactly. So, like we always actually say here at Home Plate 33, the podcast, baseball from north to south. So, it's baseball all the time. Thank you very much, Alex, for joining me again as my co-host. And we'll be talking to you guys very, very soon with more baseball content and our thoughts on the season and our local baseball season. All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.